No worries.
Okay, so welcome to episode 6 of the Oh So Spurs podcast, where we've got special guest Ricky from the Fighting Cock.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
Cheers for joining us, Rick. And we got Si.
Hello, mate.
Stuart.
Hey,
and we've also got Jonny.
How's it going?
Good to see you, mate. So we thought we'd kick off just for 5 minutes with the shit show and misery that was yesterday in Sheffield. And I've probably personally never been so angry about a cup knockout than I have that one. But how are you boys feeling about it? If we start with you, Si, where's your head at?
Do you know what? I think we were discussing just before we come on that I think that is the biggest kick in the bollocks all season. That's worse than the Arsenal game for me, because against Arsenal, I wasn't sure whether we were going to win, draw, or lose. So I didn't really have any expectations, but I thought we'd do them last night until I saw the lineup. And then it's just, what a load of fucking bollocks. I was sitting there, I just couldn't see us winning. It was, I can't really say any more than that. Shit, bollocks, fuck, wait.
What about you, Rick?
Well, I don't know. Like, I think you just mentioned there about it was a real big kick in the teeth, like one of the worst. And it's kind of like, I remember when we got knocked out to Grimsby, Manchester City, when we were cruising 3-0 and lost 4-3. There is a long list of this shit, and do you know what? It really doesn't get any easier, to be honest. Like, even going out to Borough last time, and who was the other team that we got knocked out to? That was, I mean, there. Like I said, there's a long list, and sometimes you just actually believe that when you look at who's left, and you think, do you know what? This might be our year. You know, things have landed favourably, and Sheffield United, they're a good team. They're in the Championship. They're doing well. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be, at Bramble Lane, so they've got decent fans. They'll get behind them. But we have world-class players throughout our team. We're coming off a 2-game bounce win. We played pretty good in both of those games. So you kind of have that hope in... It's not going to be a kind of, we're going to brush them away easily, but I expected to win. But as soon as that time started ticking away after like north of 60 minutes, you just had that feeling in your stomach that you know what's going to happen. Yeah. And you can try as much as you want, but it's going to happen. And that's exactly what it is. And I think people are just feeling like shit because they could all see it happening and no one could do anything about it.
Yeah, it felt so inevitable, and you're going back to your desperate superstitions. And I think you said you had one in the past, Rick, where you're like putting your left foot down like it's a car brake, just like trying to stop every attack that flies forward, and it's just Tottenham, so it's just inevitable. But what did you make of it, Jonny and Stuart?
I did joke, the pre-match pod about, the old cold Wednesday night up north, and for it to then come true was just shocking. I mean, even the lineup, the only one that I was really didn't understand was Lucas. I would have played Danjuma. But, I looked at it and thought, yeah, it's not the strongest lineup, but, they're playing their B side, and it's still a lineup of 11 internationals. It's still half of the team are, first choice players, or, we just spent 50 million quid on bringing in the back the manager right wing back. So, it should be all right. Then, as Ricky said, you start getting a little worried when 60 minutes comes, but then on comes Kane, on comes Kulu. You're thinking, yeah, all right, we'll get this. And that goal, I mean, when that goal went in, I was just like, this is it. It's over. And the final kick in the teeth after the final whistle and the draw was to see we would have got Blackburn at home.
Oh, my God.
I was just like, all the stars were aligning to just get us to Wembley. And we screwed it up in the way only we can screw things up.
It has those Portsmouth vibes. Do you remember under Redknapp? Yeah. Like, some results just sit with you and they fester with you, and they're like your Tottenham scars. And that Portsmouth FA Cup loss under Redknapp was one. I think this is one that's going to sit with me for a very long time. But what did you make of it, Jonny?
Well, you do remember on Monday night that I was the one who said I was worried, and I hate to say I was proven right, because obviously I didn't want it to be proven right. I mean, yeah, it's like Rick was saying there about the number of times this has happened before. And obviously the selection should still be more than able to take care of Sheffield United, especially like Sheffield United made 8 changes themselves. Like, I mean, that just underlines how woeful Spurs were last night. It's like, I guess there were quite a few players who hadn't played for a few games, and they're coming in together. And even like the front line, they'd never played together, I don't think, before. So it's like, it was a strange selection. And I know, Jim, you were adamant that Romero was going to be starting last night, and I was like, just like a little kid wanting to be reassured by his dad when you were giving me all of this, lovely, warm talk about what the lineup would be on Monday. I was thinking, oh well, Jim knows more than I do, so I'll roll with that.
That was, to be fair, that was genuinely, that was blind,
that was your
denial
vape
in myself.
again. Yeah. That was you vaping that nonsense.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the stuff you picked up in Amsterdam.
No.
Really, really poor. But I mean, even like Dyer was really good on Sunday against Chelsea, wasn't he? Like that goal was outrageous, like on so many levels. So many individuals just screwed up. It was and once it went in, even though I don't know what minute was that, there was probably 20 odd minutes to go, wasn't there, or something?
That was 79th minute.
Feel like Kane had that header opportunity at the end. Okay, it wasn't easy to get power into that header.
The target, though.
Like his connections are outrageously shit. So it was just,
But didn't that right hand side worry you when you first saw it? That the whole of that right hand side. I'm not saying that Porro's a bad player, but you don't play him in an FA Cup tie with Sanchez behind him.
And
it's
Lucas
just and with Moura ahead of him. That whole right hand side, I think I put in the WhatsApp beforehand. That trifecta down that right hand side really had me worried. Yeah. And Sanchez, Jesus Christ, he tackled himself 3 or 4 times, didn't he?
He did.
But also, after, 10, 15 minutes when Lucas had the ball, Richarlison was off to his left free. All he had to do was play him through, and as Lucas always does, hangs on to it, and
Real Fox.
And you're like, oh, God, here we go again.
But the one time he pulled it off was in that comeback at Ajax, wasn't it? Where he just held on to it. Yeah. Oh, and banged it in for the equaliser. So, Ricky, we had a few questions for you that came in. One of them is from Adam. My main question is, why is it, no matter how much the squad seems to change in terms of personnel, the rotated players in cup games always think they are going to coast past these games and they look complacent from minute 1? Are we broken?
In short, yes, we are broken. We all fall into this trap of arrogance and how, we're Tottenham Hotspur, we're a big club. We're also on a 2-game winning streak. We're also got this kind of like bit of confidence, bit of rhythm to our play now, and we think we're going to go to Sheffield and we're just going to beat them easily. And obviously it doesn't work out like that. And it's not just on Conte, Poch, Mourinho, whoever. You can... I remember a game for it. I can't remember who it was, but I remember Redknapp making wholesale changes in a cup game. And we can have all these players and we can spend as much money and they get as much wages. But if you tinker with a team too much, a team that where you've got players that are playing out of form, players that are returning back from injury, players that are just shit, players that have had a bad debut in Porro, and you mix that all together, you are going to get a shit pie. Do you know what I mean? Like, you put those ingredients in, what do you think that's going to taste like? It's not going to be good. And people, they just kind of, it's like they forget what happens. And it's that arrogance that we should have enough in the tank. But we haven't invested heavily enough in our squad. Our first team are doing okay at the moment, but like bringing people up off the bench, like we did against Sheffield United, that they just weren't up to the task. And the minute things got tough, they were just nowhere to be seen. And we tried to get Kane on to kind of rescue the game, but it's just the momentum had gone, and it's the kind of the psychology of those players that are still there. Maybe not blaming it on them, but Dyer, Davies, Sanchez, they've been there a long time and we've not won anything, and it's just kind of like, why does that happen in those situations when they do need to step up, and it is always one of them, or it feels mean kind of throwing them under the bus, but what else is it?
I think
what else is it when
you boys have said it a few times, haven't you? Like you've said, why the fuck is Davies, Dyer, Sanchez and Tanganga still in this defensive lineup 4 years on from when we knew that was a problem? Like what?
Yeah.
We've invested 380 million quid since then and we haven't improved any of our back four, apart from Romero, but it's... Sorry, Si, you were going to say something.
No, I was nodding in total agreement, Jim, if I'm honest. I wonder if there's an element at some point where we've got quite a lot of foreign players in there. Every team's got quite a lot of foreign players in their squads. I wonder if there's a bit of complacency at times where the leagues they were playing in, the lower divisions are so weak that they think it's a coast. They don't understand the quality that's in the championship. They don't understand how tough the championship is. And maybe there's a little bit of that as well, that they think all they need to do is turn up, pass it about a bit on a pitch that looks like they're digging up potatoes today, by the way. I don't know what was happening. Son just had the ball under his feet all the time. He had a lovely touch on Sunday and then touch of a rapist on last night. You know what I mean? Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, this is always... Oh, go on, sorry, Stu.
I was going to say that, going to the investment as well, only Spurs could invest 50 million quid in Brazil's number 9 as our, forward player to bring off the bench, and him to not be able to score a single goal. I mean, apart from Marseille.
He did hit the corner flag, though, which was quite impressive from there.
That summed it up. Well, these results always lead to the same merry-go-round, and here we are again. Is Pochettino the answer? Do we just bin all this off and just bring in the fresh blood, or do we stick with Conte and see out this project for another year? What do you think,
No
Jonny?
one wants to jump first today.
I think most of fans would just agree that you want to watch good football. And I suppose fundamentally you want to have a direction, you want to have a philosophy. Clearly, we had that with Poch the first time round. You wonder what the plan is. Results like this obviously raise that question again in terms of trophies, top four, and all the reaction to what happened yesterday online today. Different theories and so on, different blame being apportioned in different directions, but. For the fans that are paying money to go along to the games, or anyone who's invested in the club, like it's just Tottenham do have a tradition of being like the football connoisseurs, wasn't that the line and the hot shot Tottenham, this the 87 song or whatever. It's like that is the brand of Tottenham. That's what we've kind of expected. That's what you buy into. That's what you want to see your Waddles and your Ginolas and. We've got some quality players that can do that. We've got some really, really good players in every aspect, apart from the back that you were mentioning there. And just to lose trying, and then to have that, like we were talking about on Sunday after the Chelsea game, because we'd seen so much progress, but I just. The formation, the players that we have for Conte's system is just not fun to watch anyway. We had Mourinho, that was even worse. I just want to see good football, and yes, obviously want trophies as well, but you want to have a plan. I don't know. It's a complete mess, really. But
Where's your head at, Rick?
So I kind of agree with all of that. I'm at a stage now where I want to win a trophy, whether it's FA Cup, dare I even fucking mention the league, or Champions League, but I want to win a trophy, and if that means getting Mourinho, Nuno, or Conte in to do those, then I'm willing to forfeit that enjoyable football, to grind out 1-0s, 2-0s, score early, get the men behind the ball, ride it out, yawn our way to the final whistle. I get a nice silver pot at the end of that. Fucking lovely, mate.
Yeah.
None of that's here. None of it. I've had years of shit football, and I'm just sick of it now. Like, I just want to go back to a bit of playing with a bit of fun and attacking and kind of just seeing what we're able to do. Like, it's so hard, and I don't want to keep going back to it. But when I used to watch us under Poch, I could see what was happening on the pitch and what we were trying to do and how aggressive we were and pressing and high up the pitch and winning it back. And then, it was the neat play between Dele and Ericsson, and then Kane bang in. And we were just it was just a real kind of like an orchestra, and you're just watching it unfold, and it was just beautiful, and it just hummed along nicely. And sometimes that orchestra, the trumpet player or whoever, wouldn't turn up, and it wouldn't be as nice. But do you know what? I'll come back next week, and it'll be all on tune, and it'll be fine. But at the end of it, there was no trophies, and where we are stuck in this cycle of a guy that will come in and bring the glory days back under 2 seasons by throwing money at it, by playing their way, by playing however it is. It might not be easy on the eye, to then veer into, actually, I don't want to watch this. And do you know what? We could bring in some young hot prospect of a manager from Europe somewhere, and he could be playing amazing football, and within 3 years one of our rivals have won a trophy, and we're like, oh yeah, we're playing great football, but we've won fuck all. Let's go and get Klopp in. Let's go and get whoever in, because we want trophies. So we're in this kind of pendulum of swinging back and forth of shit football but trophies, beautiful football but no trophies. Where's like the middle? And it's such a hard thing to get.
Yeah.
Really. But to your point, Rick, if it was shit football with trophies, we'd all be all right. But we don't look like we're getting anywhere near fucking trophies with fucking shit football. It's a double shit sandwich.
No, it's even worse. We bring in Mourinho, who gives us shit football, finally gets us to a final, and then we sack him off before the final.
I know.
It's all about that. All about the Reddies.
To be fair, it has got a lot harder than the old Liverpool United days, I think, where there were 2 teams fighting for it. Now you've got Chelsea in there, you've got City in there, you've still got Liverpool and United with their pool power on top of all that. And this is depressing.
And then we're going to bring Newcastle in as well.
Throw them into the mix.
Jesus. We got a depressing comment more than question from David Kenner, who said, in the first half of my life, Spurs won 6 FA Cups, 3 European trophies, 3 League Cups. And in the second half of my life, I've only seen 2 League Cups. I feel sorry for you younger fans. What's depressing is when he says younger fans, that's like us, who,
ain't me.
Like, we're knocking around 30s, 40s and 50s, So it is pretty...
I know. How old is that person?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, jeez, he must be in his 70s.
He must be.
Yeah.
Was he there when we won the FA Cup as a non-league?
Yeah. I was going to say, it's not my dad, is it? It's my dad emailing in.
He's a big fan, Rick. He's a big
fan. Yeah, I mean, trophy-wise, yeah, it has been pretty bleak. I was chatting to my old man the other day, and we were walking up the high road after the Chelsea game, and I was saying, out of everything that I've wanted to achieve in my Tottenham life of going to a home game, going to an away game, going to a cup game, going away in Europe to go and watch us play, going to a European Cup final to watch us play. Tick that all off the list. I've never seen us in an FA Cup final. It's like 5 or 6 semi-final losses. It's fucking insane. It's just like what? Just oh.
My son gave
I'm
me
lost
this
for
book
words.
the other day.
Lost for fucking words.
10,000 things you need to know for my 50th birthday. And because my son is quite blunt, he said, if you read one of those a day, would you have enough days, Dad? And then we did a quick bit of maths. I thought, okay, that's like about nearly 30 years. And then I was listening to, I don't know, one of the post-match reactions. It was like 32,000 days since we won the FA Cup. I think it's so like I could read this book between us lifting the cup back against Forest. And today, like one of those bloody facts, it's a massively thick book. Like one fact is about that big. Like it's just unbelievable. It's crazy. I was like 18 and now I'm 50. Like it's absolutely mental.
Shit.
But we should move off the depressing topic and start to move towards some happier ones. But we just had one final bit of positivity. It was a comment rather than a question. It said, "Do you think Beyonce is relieved she's no longer robbing us of our FA Cup final celebrations on the high road?"
Do you think she even had any idea that was a potential conundrum, that when she was going to be doing a gig that there might be loads of football fans?
Does she even know she's playing in Tottenham? She doesn't even know that yet, I don't think.
But on a serious note, I think these results, they feel painful, but there is so much still to be positive about. The fact that we're punching in that top 4 kind of area. I know we're just sick of it though. We're just, like we said, we're just bored of waiting now. That FA Cup was like just the moment we all needed. We're all blue-balled, ready to ejaculate, and we just need to release. And then we can go back to being sensible again and paying more attention to our wives. But for now, we're just like dogs on heat, and we need that trophy to get this out of our system. So, yeah, it was painful. And Rick, we've got a question for Danny for you. He says, if Harry Kane isn't going to go for a spag bowl at your house, can he come over instead?
Okay, well, that's quite niche for me. I don't know if anyone knows, but I regularly tweet or Instagram at Harry Kane, and I tweet him in a style like we're mates and we haven't seen each other in a while, and that we should like meet up, and I'll cook his favourite meal, spag bowl with garlic bread or garlic ciabatta. So it's a running joke, and it's been going on for like 5 years. I don't know why I do it. It was just, I fancied doing it at the time, and I thought, fuck it, I'm just going to keep doing it. Every time he tweets and I see it, I'll just keep asking. Because in my mind, as a professional footballer and as someone that is obviously famous, when they tweet or they do something, that they will go to their Twitter account and they will read comments. They'll tweet something and they'll go back, like psychologically, they'll go back to be like, oh, did I spell everything correctly? Or did I do this or whatever? How's that doing? Has that banged? Did people find it funny? And at that moment, over those 5 years, he must have seen. I'm hoping multiple times some geezer asking him if he wants to come round to his house for spaghetti bolognese. That's fucking mental. What a weirdo.
There's part of you just deep down, right, remotely hope one day he goes, yeah, right.
Oh, mate, I'd shit myself. My spaghetti bolognese ain't even that good. I feel like, oh fuck! I've actually got to cook a spag bowl now. Jesus,
to make him wear a bib.
Oh, you'd have to.
He looks like
a
messy.
He'd be messy as fuck.
Yeah. It's like I can imagine him as well, like one of those kids, just like the fork is going into his mouth at a rate of knots. Yeah. Tomato sauce flying everywhere.
He doesn't know how to twirl it. He's just sucking them one by one.
Either that, or he cut it up small and spoon it in.
Yeah.
My wife would kill him.
But in answer to the question, the offer is only open to Harry. If he decides to bring any other Tottenham plays with him, that's
what if he
fine.
wants to get Danny on board with him, though?
Then that's a technicality, and Danny can come along. So
he's
yeah,
allowed as a +1. So I'd say we've all got to, as an action after this, go into your Twitter, which is RickyTFC, find the Spagbell tweets and just blow it up in Klane's mentions. Just please reply. Yeah. Chris says, does the Centre for Suffering Tottenham fans Paddy Power advertising actually exist? Because I need to sign up. Next was right. Okay, so you have to fight 2 Spurs players to the death. You also get to choose one to fight with you. Who do you pick and why?
Current though, right? That we're talking current squad.
I had that.
Current squad.
Current squad, including players on loan, though, right?
I think loan's fine, as long as you can't just choose an old man who's left the club and 30 years retired. He's got to be in the current squad, I think.
Right.
Go on, Johnny. Who did you think? Oh, you're on mute, mate.
He's frozen too.
Ah, you're frozen. Over to Sai. Go on, mate.
So two to fight and one as a backup. Is that the
fight
question?
To the death. Yeah,
fight to the death.
Fight to the death. You've got to fight 2 Tottenham players, and you're also allowed to pick one from our squad to be on your side.
Is my mic working there?
To defend yourself. There you are. Yeah, go on, Johnny. If you want to go, you can go.
It's really easy for me if it's the current squad because the 2 useless twats that are out on loan, Lo Celso and Ndombele, it has to be those 2 because we've got to get them off the payroll for starters, and they just need a proper lesson after the attitude they've shown when they were with us, especially Ndombele. And although like I'm an old fella, I wouldn't really be all that intimidated, especially if I could call on Christian Romero, because I think they just see him and they just like run for the hills. To be honest with you, they're absolutely, they don't give a shit about anything. They're just like, I think they'll just evaporate probably if we look at them. So it'd be nice to get them off the payroll, and it would be quite nice to see them actually suffer physically. But yeah, I don't think it would even.
I love the confidence you're going to win this,
yeah.
And you've picked 2 strong lads because you're so confident you're going to kill him. I was thinking, how do I go small, weak, and vulnerable? But yeah,
I think I'd go Ndombele definitely because the geezer's just been fucking robbing a living since he turned up, and he just needs sorted out. But I think, what? I'm running out of patience with Perisic as well. I'm really running out of patience with him. He hasn't got a bit of bottle in him at all. So I think he'd be quite an easy turnover. And as backup, I think I'd just tell Dyer that they fucking called his brother a cunt and let him go. And I think that sorts it all out. I don't even think I need to get involved, if I'm honest.
You got to be careful with the Croatians, though. Don't fuck with the Croatians.
Oh, they are a bit lively, but listen, Dyer. I think Dyer's on my side. We're all right there. We're all right there.
Yeah.
My 2 are pretty simple. One would be Jill because he's so tiny. I think it'd be
snap in the wind, wouldn't he?
Finish off. Exactly. And the second one is Lo Celso. But for 2 reasons. One, because he's got a face that you just want to fucking smash in. And 2, because he's made of glass, so only takes 1 punch and he'll just shatter.
Fair enough.
And to be on my side, it's easy. Either, you go with Romero, as Johnny said before, or you go with Son, because, he spent, a year being trained to be a trained killer.
He's probably got some moves, isn't he?
Exactly. So I'd probably have him on my side.
What about you, Rick?
Just like you guys, I would definitely have Romero on my side. And he'd fight dirty. He's got like a little blade down his sock or something like that. Like throwing sand in the face, anything just to get that.
He's biting, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. He starts off with a bite. Everyone's throwing fists, and he's trying to bite. Yeah. I think for ease, I would probably go with Ben Davies because he's just such a nice guy, so placid. And I would also go with I would say Skip because he's quite young, small, but he's a bit of a terrier as well. So I'm a bit undecided. Like he might just 2-foot me straight away because he's not shy of a tackle, so he might steam into me. Yeah, I'm going to go with those two.
I've got a bit
Yeah.
of an issue with Skips
it.
Barnett though. He needs to sort that. He needs some.
He needs to shave it off.
He needs to
Shave
go one way or the other.
Yeah.
You're not kidding anyone there, Ollie, mate.
Yeah.
He looks like such an old man, though. Looks like a 55-year-old
man. He should be like in a World War II movie or something, doesn't he? He looks like my old Tommy.
Yeah, he does.
He does.
He's having a kick about in no man's land.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Jim?
Yeah, I'd definitely have Davies on there. I think he'd just put his head in a block and say, I'd rather put myself
So you
first
two
in
are
this
kicking the
situation.
fuck out of the nicest bloke in the
And I think
squad.
Winks would do that as well. I reckon Winks would say, look, I tried to make it at Spurs. It hasn't really worked out. What's the point in living anymore?
Just sort me out.
To me. And he'd just look at Romero with his, like he said, he's clearly got blade stuffed in his sock and just think, what's the fucking point? Can you just do it quickly? So I think we'd get out of it quite clean.
Screaming Tottenham till I die.
I saw a little I saw a little compilation of Winks the other day. His performance, I think it was against Lazio or some. I think yes, Lazio. Someone had done like a 2.5 minute compilation on Twitter of his touches, and you know when you're like looking at a compilation, and I looked back at it, I was like, that geezer's all right, you know. He could do a fucking job in the centre mid. Oh, it's Winks. Shit.
Carlos Kickable.
Oh.
I was like, fuck. Yeah. But yeah, bless him. He looks like he's doing fine out there.
Yeah. Well, Stuart, just for context, Ricky, Stuart's married to an Italian lady, and he spent a long time living in Milan following Serie A, so he knows it quite well. What's going on with him, Stu?
Yeah, a mate of mine's actually a Samp fan. So, he keeps me up to date with how he's playing. Well, obviously he didn't play much because he was injured for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
He's actually, since he came back, been playing really, really well. So I was also getting a little excited thinking, wow, he looks good. And it's like, yeah, but Stuart, you have to remember, he looks really, really good because he's surrounded by a sack of shit. And that's why we're bottom of the league. So I thought, yeah, okay, fair enough.
And Stu, just so we've got you on that Italian knowledge part, I heard AC Milan are making a bit of a resurgence at the moment, which is a bit worrying for us. What's the situation there?
Yeah, it's worrying. Their first choice keeper who's been out injured since the beginning of the season is now back, and he's really, really good. He only cost like 50 million quid. I wish we'd have got him. He's really, really a top goalkeeper. They've kept a whole bunch of clean sheets now. So in typical fashion, a team completely out of form has just turned the corner right about the time to finish us off in the cup and let us concentrate on the fourth place. Finish with Newcastle.
Is there any hope? Are their injuries still persistent right back and stuff? Is everyone back now?
Yeah, Calabria is still out. But Ibra is back. And as we mentioned on the Milan pod, just his presence around the squad lifts them, his experience. And they played well at the weekend as well. They beat Atalanta. I mean, Fortuna's own goal got them the win, but Atalanta was a team also in form. So, yeah, what we need to do, I think, is we need to really come out of the starting blocks fast because it's an Italian team. Yeah. They know how to defend. But the problem is, as we all know, we don't do first halves. And that could be a struggle because they'll sit back, they'll defend, they've got the experience, they know what they're doing, they soak it up. Their coach will have got them well drilled, and if it gets to 60 minutes without scoring, I will fear the worst.
Well,
I heard that they were quite similar to us in that they were quite fragile. So if teams would score against them quickly, then they would just implode, really, and they wouldn't be able to get themselves back in the game. But the longer it goes on, where the other team don't score, then they grow in confidence, and then they'd end up getting the 3 points. So I mean, one would hope that we come out of the starting blocks very quickly. European Cup under the lights at White Hart Lane, and the atmosphere would be very, very good, and we'd get behind the team. So hopefully we'll at least get a goal within the first half and set the tone for it.
I think the players will be so up for it. I think we'll see an opposite behaviour. And to be fair, there's been loads of criticism of our atmosphere, but I found the last 2 games at home have been really, really good. It feels like it's turning a corner at home, despite all the negativity on social media and the dividing. I think we are turning the ground into a bit of a nasty place to go now. So I wouldn't be too despondent. I think we've got a good chance of turning that around. We do, yeah. What are your score predictions for that? Do you reckon we'll win it? Do you reckon, Stu?
I reckon it's Spurs. So we're going to win the game 2-1. It's going to go to penalties. And we are going to actually win on penalties. Because that's how optimistic I'm feeling.
Fuck off. No way.
Fraser
No way.
Yeah. Sanchez scores the winner.
Yeah.
He trips over and heads it in by mistake.
Yeah. I'm still picturing a Royale no-look cross that just evades everyone and just goes bang, top bin since the injury time. Yeah. So we were going to go on to just a slightly kind of like more positive end to the pod. I think everyone needs a bit of therapy. So I'm just going to ask everyone, what's your favourite ever Tottenham memory that stands out? Just give you a second to have a think, and then I'll lump it on you. I mean, I can start at mine to buy you some time. For some reason, I don't know if it's because of the age I was and the moment we were at a club where Arsenal were always beating us, but it was when Danny Rose scored in his Premier League debut and I was sat in the ground and I saw that volley go in, and it just felt like we were finally, like, it was just so much pent up depression of just being constantly beaten by them. That moment was just so special. And getting home and then just hearing that commentary, Danny Rose on his Premier League debut, and just having that on record on Sky and just going backwards play, over and over again. Yeah, and the other is beating Chelsea for the first time in 16 years at home, where Aaron Lennon with a chance. That was pretty magical. But yeah, what about you, Ricky?
I would probably go for Old White Hart Lane, Tottenham v Arsenal, semi-final of the League Cup, second leg, 5-1. Because at that time, we were just whipping boys to the Gooners, really. And it was a celebration if we got away with a draw against them. And I couldn't really imagine beating them so convincingly, such a high score. And even it's so funny because it's like Tottenham, but like I think it was like 4-0, and then it went 4-1. And even though it's like 70 minutes or whatever, I look and I was like, "Fuck, 4-1. They've still got time to get back into this." That's how much damage they've done to us over the past. But as soon as that fifth went in, it was that release from everyone in the stadium that we knew we were going through. We knew it was like 5-1. There was nothing they could do anything about it. And everyone was just so kind of jubilant, but also gobsmacked that it happened. And I remember going back to the Bell and Air pub after and celebrating and just, man, what a night. That was it's one of my earliest, fondest memories, I'd say.
That was the Genus Pinger, wasn't it, as well? Yeah. That was magical. You ran through the midfield.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
What about you, Jonny?
I mean, I do remember, like, as a kid, the FA Cups, the early 80s, which were obviously, like, but at that point, I had no idea, like, how much of a sort of collector's item they'd become. So when they happened, I don't think I would appreciate them anything like I would now. So, I mean, from really tangible memories, it's hard to look past the Ajax second leg, just for that euphoria, just that insane kind of, especially the comeback, the second half and everything. I would say I was out. My sons had won a hockey. My sons play hockey because that's what you do when you're posh in Dublin, and there's no football, unfortunately. So we were at a prize-winning dinner, and it was on in the pub, and no one was giving a damn about really what was happening with speeches and things. We were just watching the football, and it was amazing when that third goal went in. It was just like we were all in our own place at that time and all over the all over the world, Spurs fans were just jumping and in disbelief and hugging, and it was just incredible. From being in the ground, I was lucky enough to be, because I'm just a season ticket holder for the first year this year. So, but I've been a fair few games. I would say the 2016, the Leicester season, when we played Arsenal at the beginning of March, I think it was, and if we'd won the game, we were going to go top of the league. We went 1-0 down, and then they got Jonny was sent off, and that was the game when Harry Kane scored the goggles goal.
That was a brilliant moment.
I was in the corner, the northeast corner, where he ran over and threw off the goggles. So I was with my boys, just like being there and seeing that happen as it happened, seeing Harry run over and throw the goggles down before it became something you saw over and over and over since then. The noise when that happened, I think that's the noisiest I've ever remembered the Old Lane anyway, and it was just
that was special,
unbelievable, amazing.
I was in East Lower on that game. Remember,
then we screwed up and they drew 2-2.
There you go. What about you, Stu?
For me, it's not even really like it's not a game I was at. It's not even us winning a cup, because again I'm older. I was getting to finals and actually winning cups didn't seem that strange. So again, I probably didn't appreciate it as much as I should have. But it was when Crouch scored against City to get us Champions League for the first time.
That was quality.
Because it was something that at that point, you start getting disillusioned. The Sky top four was set in stone. And it's just something that, I just never thought I'd see Spurs play in the Champions League. And I was watching at home in Milan, and I'll never forget, it goes in and I fell to my knees screaming. And my small son was in bed sleeping at the time. Obviously woke him up. He starts crying. My wife's going crazy, shouting at me because I woke up the kid. It took her I don't know how long to get to fall asleep. And I couldn't give a shit. I was just on my knees. It was just amazing.
Yeah. What about you, Si?
I think I've got similar to Jonny. There's one that I didn't realise how special it was until with those rose tinted glasses, with the hindsight. I was at the Lane for when Glenn Aldle scored his goal against Oxford, where he just leaves like 4 players sitting on their arse before he taps it in, and I think that was his last game at the Lane, right, before the '87 Cup final. So that looking back on that, I still watch that goal and I have no idea what he did to those 3 defenders to make them look the other way and run into each other, but it was fantastic. And I think the other one, I wasn't at the game, it was the Ajax semi-final. I was running a training course for the company I work for in Barcelona, and I found an Irish bar near the big church, the Sagrada Familia. And I was sat in there, and I was the only Spurs in there, and there was about 4 or 5 Ajax fans in there who decided to come and sit with me at the bar. And at half time, I was knocking gins down me like nobody's business, just drown this shit out. And then when that last goal went in, it was this long, thin Irish bar. I just ran from one end to the other, through the doors, onto my knees in front of the fucking Sagrada Familia church, just screaming with all these Spanish looking at me, and it was that was one of the best feelings in the world. And I went back to the hotel room. I can't remember what time I got back, but I woke up at 10 o'clock from my co-facilitator on the course asking me if I was going to be bothering turning up to run the afternoon session.
Someone else put one in that I remember quite well. I loved was Van der Vaart shushing the Arsenal fans after he scored that penalty as well. That was just what a legend that was. That even just that deadline day signing that guy, he just got it, didn't he? He just got that rivalry. Yeah, and he still hates them. I love it. He still gives them shit on social media. It's brilliant. So I think that's all the questions we've got. So I think we could probably wrap up then. Anyone else have any further comments or want to flag anything?
That was a nice happy ending.
Yeah.
The best I like.
Oh, actually, just to add,
I'm sure you do. Is Romero coming in now?
Do you know what's mad? None of us mentioned the League Cup win. Like the only trophy we've all witnessed on this call, no one mentioned that, even though it was against Chelsea, winning in extra time.
Yeah.
So maybe football is more about the trophies. Maybe, back to your first point, Ricky, we should just be getting behind some fun football now. I'm fine to see out the season, but next year I want someone who plays forward, fluid football. I can take finishing sixth.
Yeah.
If it's just fun to watch and you get those moments, I just want it back. But there's loads to look forward to, I think. And you never know, we could do Milan and then see us go on a mad Champions League run like Chelsea did under Di Matteo when they were shit, and just pull off the unthinkable, ruin the Gooners season by winning the only trophy bigger than theirs.
Well, hopefully we draw Man City in the quarterfinals and we'll be grand. We get by in the semis.
Wouldn't that be great as well? Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks very much, gents. And come on, you Spurs.
Go on, you Spurs. Cheers, boys.
Spurs.